So I think the Lumix G1 and G2 largely kind of forgotten cameras, it seems to me, which is a real shame, because some of the other cameras from this era, when these came out, are kind of, particularly the Micro Four Thirds ones, some of them seem to be much more sought after. Things like the GF1. I understand why the GF1 is popular. It's got a nice metal body, lots of controls, all that sort of stuff. It's got the same sensor as these cameras, and these seem to, these are relatively quite cheap in comparison. So what's the difference between, or what's the big deal in terms of the G2 versus the G1? I looked into this quite recently because whilst I'd had a G1 many years ago and was very pleased with it at the time, I'd not owned one for many years, and I thought, instead of a G1, as a bit of a retro step, just to try out one of the older cameras again, which I'd got on with well at the time, I thought I'll try a G2, because having done some reading up, it seems to be a better camera. And the specs for the G2, the advances over the G1, are things like, the big deal, I suppose, is video. It does video at 720p, AVC HD Lite, and MPEG. It also has a microphone socket, so presumably could be used for video. It has touch screen, which was another big deal, relatively speaking. They'd repositioned some of the controls on the G2. They'd extended the ISO. It had now gone up to 6400 from 3200 on the G1. I don't think you'd want to go anywhere near either of those figures on these cameras, to be honest. The high ISO performance is one of the things that really differentiates older cameras from the newer stuff. And I think once it gets above 800 on these cameras, it's pretty intolerable. They'd moved where the SD card is held. It's gone in with the battery compartment on the G2, which I'm not really a fan of. It's nice having it on the side. Anyway, we'll come back to that. And there was a processor upgrade for the G2, but pretty much that was it. And so in real world use, what does all of this actually add up to? So video, let's try the G2 for video. It's oh. Not sure about the focus on this thing. Not sure about the focus in here. Actually, that seems to be focusing. I can't tell if it is or not. So this is video from the G2. Seems to be focusing. Whether it's recording any sound or not, it's difficult to tell. Nothing on the screen suggests it is, but who knows? So, how comparable is this to modern day videoing? Well, we'll go back to the modern day now, and that'll be the comparison. And is that reasonable? Is that a success? Can we do that? Well, let's move on, just in case that's an epic fail. Touchscreen, for me, that's not a big deal. I don't use touchscreen very much. I do use it more extensively on some cameras than others. I do use it a bit on the Canon M6 because it's I think that's a really good implementation. Works really well going through the menus and stuff like that on the Canon. I use it a little bit for focus point movement and things like that on other cameras, but yeah, I'm just not a big touchscreen fan. It's okay. I'm just not over the top on it. Wouldn't miss it if a camera didn't have it. I guess that's the point. The control dial, it is on the front on the G1, and when you get to the G2, it's gone to the back. I actually preferred it on the front personally, but you know, it's a bit of a personal preference thing, really, I guess. As I said, the SD card on the G1 was on the side. I like that. It means that if you've got the camera on a tripod, you haven't got to take the tripod mount off to get the SD card out every time you want to upload something. So I prefer it on the side, personally. One thing about the G1 is they do get a sticky old finish to them. And this one, obviously, I've cleaned it off. The G2, I haven't seen any reports of them suffering in the same way. So I'm not sure if they're going to get a sticky problem or not. But I haven't seen any sticky G2s yet. So maybe they fixed that. One thing that I find is missing, that I really do miss in both cameras, is a level gauge. I don't know why, I'm just not a very level-headed person, it seems, and my photos are always crooked without a level gauge. So I do like a level gauge on a camera, and neither of them have got that. But having said that, another thing I do like about the G1, and there are a number of things, which I've mentioned that I do like, particularly about the G1, and another thing I do like about it, in some respects, is that it doesn't do video. So it's a more basic kind of, it's a different thing in your head when you go out. It's, you're not even thinking about video. It's completely gone from your mind, and all you're thinking about is photography. And I think that can be good. I mean, you don't have to use video on any camera, obviously. Pretty much all these cameras are hybrids nowadays. All the ones I use are hybrid cameras anyway, and you don't have to use video. But just taking it away, kind of, I don't know, it makes me feel slightly different about the camera. But that must be just me. So, would I recommend one of these over the other? I think, for me, most of these kind of features are neither here nor there in terms of the upgrade path of the G2. So for me, either is it's a good camera. If you want to try something a little bit retro and not very expensive, I think I paid £30 for the G1, and I think I might have paid 60 for the G2. I'll have to check, but it is a mint condition one, and both of these cameras have got less than 4,000. I think it's less than 4,000 activations on the shutter, so they are, only a very tiny way into their life. One other thing I should mention is that they do have quite a big battery. Compared to a lot of cameras now, these batteries are monsters in terms of size, and they do last well. They last... obviously, if you're not doing video, they last even longer. But yeah, they do last well. It's a good sized battery for such an older camera. And I like that too. So give them a try. They're well worth a go, these cameras. 12 megapixels actually is enough most of the time. They're not up to modern standards, obviously, but they're an interesting take, and they're good fun to use. So this of course is what you can't do with the G1, but and maybe that makes it worthwhile having the G2, kind of completely and utterly. I think it does make it does make a difference that you can actually use the G2 for video work. when you can't use the G1 for that. But you know, pros and cons. So maybe the G2 is worth it above and beyond the G1. Otherwise, I don't think there's much to choose between them.